Welcome to the AERO People podcast. At AERO People, we talk to individuals who have an interesting story to tell, who are professional in aviation. And today we have with us Mr. Nuno Pereira, CEO and founding member of Bestfly, which is already a group, not just one company. Bestfly, for those who don't know, is certainly one of the fastest growing aviation companies in Africa. You became, or you are, the big dog in Angola. So nothing out of Angolan aviation except of TAG is happening without you knowing, I guess. Your opinion counts a lot on the continent. And so we are very happy and glad to have you on the podcast. Nuno, you are a very successful individual. How did this all started?
First of all, thank you very much, Stefan, for this great opportunity to participate in your podcast. I think we have to think the new technologies, and this is a way to communicate and a way to change the perception, somehow this bad perception of business aviation. And going straight to your question, Bestfly started as a dream. And it's the proof that dreams do come true with the hard work, with the perseverance, and with the stamina. Because without stamina, you cannot do it. You know it very well. So that's basically how Bestfly started. It was a dream that Alcina and I had, and we implemented over the years, but we're still not there. I think we'll never get there because that's the challenge.
Is there a final goal?
I have a dream. Let's make it public. I want to create the biggest private aviation company in Africa. That's my dream.
That's a goal. Indeed. That's a goal. Has this goal changed over the year? Or was that the day one?
So the initial goal was to create a one-stop shop for Angola. The goal evolved. It didn't change. As life, it evolved. It got out of the borders of Angola. It became an international goal. And more we position ourselves as the go-to brand for aviation. We started purely as a business jet ground handling. Then we became an operator. Then we invested in businesses like Camo. Then we invested in businesses like ground handling outside of Africa. Then we invested in businesses like scheduled airline, like we do in Cabo Verde. So the goal has evolved, has not changed. In order to achieve the goal, and that's why I said earlier, it's never going to be accomplished. Because if you accomplish something, there's always something else that comes up, a new opportunity. And that's the only way you continue to exist. Because for me, I like to challenge myself, and I like to challenge all of my team and all of my staff. Because if you look at the history of aviation in Angola, and that's what really drives me towards the next goals and the next objective. On average, all of Angolan aviation companies, with the exception of the government-owned companies, lasted for 10 years. I don't want that to happen to my company. Already didn't, because we are past the 10-year mark. But we want to continue to be a significant and relevant brand in the aviation context, not only in Angola, as I said, in Africa, but also internationally, like the investments we did in Austria recently, and the one we did we are planning to do in other jurisdictions, the one we did in Aruba, and things make sense. And if you stop, you die. And that's basically what we don't want to do, is to die.
You told me once a story how you decided to come back to Angola, because you have been a pilot for NetJets, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very funny or very interesting story. Would you share it with our viewers?
Now you're gonna get me emotional, Stefan, because that's actually something that is really important to me. So I lived in Angola through all of my life until the end of the war. Then I went to Europe for NetJets. I actually was the first European, like if I'm an European, at least as a Portuguese passport holder, I was the first European branch of NetJets to fly the G4 when the long-range fleet came to Europe. And that opened up my eyes completely. Then I saw that TAG Angola Airlines was buying new aircraft at the time. We're talking about 2005, 2006. Well, it's scary. It's 18 years ago, huh? So time flies. But basically, I had a dream to go back to my country and to contribute. Go back to my country and be able to give back to everything that my country gave me. And in 2007, as always, with the undoubtable support of my wife, we decided to leave the comfort zone of being in the biggest operator in the world for business jets and go back to Angola. We did. I then was hired by TAG to fly the 747. I was a captain on the 747 at the age of 30. At a certain time, I was the youngest captain in the world on the 747. And I could see that things were not done properly in my country. The service levels were very, very limited. And then one day I go to Alcinda and say, hey, why don't we start something? Because Alcinda also worked with NetJets and we wanted to implement. We did it one try. That try didn't go well. We split apart with our previous partners and then we did it alone. And that's where we proved that we were really good at what we were doing. And in less than 6 months, I would say we were market leaders. Companies that were there for forever lost their market share to us. And proudly, without being arrogant, but proudly, we remain the most relevant brand of aviation in Angola. Now we cover areas like the ground handling that we didn't go from, the FBO side. We have the helicopters of flying offshore, which was something that was completely unthinkable just 5 or 6 years ago when we started. Everybody would say, no, it's not possible. A private company flying offshore in Angola, it's not possible. Well, I guess we proved them wrong. And to be honest, I'll share with you the story. The very first flight we did to an offshore platform with our newly acquired AW139, the guys at the airport refused to accept the flight plan because they I didn't tell you that yet.
No?
They couldn't believe it that we could fly offshore. So we actually had to engage with the CAA. The CAA had to tell them that we were approved to fly offshore. So that's the type of hurdles that we faced. And with the perseverance, that's why I use a lot the word perseverance. Perseverance is very important in our business, especially in our region.
That's where you see the big difference.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're like a bulldog. You never give up. Huh?
I'm more like a pit bull.
Pit bull, yeah. Pit bull is the right dog for you. Yeah,
Yeah, Pandur is not. Is a very quiet dog, Stefan.
For those who don't know, I have a continent bulldog called Pandur, who's very calm. So
Exactly. So it's
not a
not
good
me.
example.
Yeah, pit bull is my thing.
So perseverance is the big difference between Bestfly success and a lot of competitors, let's say so.
It's true, but one of the things that is really important, you can persevere as much as you want, but you have to have one thing, which is people that believe in you. And one of the things that I do have is people that believe in us. The people that I'm saying is not the wealthy guys. It's the team that we built. We have people working with Bestfly for 13 years. Huh? Our FBO manager has been with us since the beginning of the company. and she grew. Our ground handling manager, he has started as the ground handler on the ground, and he grew. One of the things that, of course, business is about making money and being profitable, but the most important for me is not that. The most important for me is the way we impact people. Bestfly in its universe, between the various jurisdictions we are present, we employ about 450 people. Angola alone varies between 250 and 300 people. Every time I pay salaries to those people, I'm impacting directly at least 3,000 people, which for me makes my life worthwhile. It's not just about the money. Honestly, it's not definitely about the money. It's about the legacy. As Alcinda always says, the sky is not the limit. The sky is where we work.
Yeah, that's a nice saying. That's a very nice saying. Yeah, yeah. I remember when we had last year, we had a family party where we brought all from our staff members, all families together at one place, and it was a lunch hall at where there would be it fitted about 200 people, and half of them were from us. I thought, crazy. Those are all people relying on your work, or actually, yeah, that this is the legacy that
On
you
your
leave.
leadership,
That made me proud, and I totally agree with you. So it's the money is never the goal.
if it is, you are wrong. And if it is, you'll not be successful, Stefan.
Exactly, it's the consequence
Yeah.
out of doing the right things.
Yeah. And that's what people don't understand when with all of these negative campaigns about business jets and these environmentalists that are attacking business jets. They don't have a single clue of what impact we are actually doing for the positive to the world. Because imagine a country like Angola with a GDP, that's something it's not proud for me to say, but we are one of the most where we have the one of the most impoverished population. When a business jet lands in Angola with an entrepreneur that is coming to invest significant amount of money that will impact that impoverished nation on the positive side by creating jobs, by empowering the economy, by creating new infrastructures, by doing all of that stuff. These fundamentalists, I call it, by the environment, they don't see how that impacts the life of these people. As I said, in Europe, a job may impact 2 or 3 people. In Angola, a job impacts at least 10 people. So that's why I say with 300 people that we employ in Angola, we are impacting directly 3,000 people. Directly, not counting with our suppliers, the caterings, the fuelers, the car mechanics, the cleaners, the gardeners, that indirectly we are actually making the life of people better.
And that because of fat cats business jets, which
Exactly.
is, yeah, I totally agree. I usually take the example of Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk is certainly the individual, single individual that has the highest impact of the CO2 output of the world, period. But he flies a G650. Without his Gulfstream 650, he would not be able to do what he does, period.
I agree. And that for me, going back to the point of Bestfly to be relevant has to continue to change its goals and to adapt the goals to impact people in a positive way, like we did in Cabo Verde.
Yeah.
Look at what we did in Cabo Verde. In Cabo Verde, when the government of Cabo Verde invited us to come, after consulting a lot of other operators, they were about to become without connectivity on an inter-island country with 10 islands. The only way those people had to connect around the islands was either by plane, which would probably take them 45 minutes, or by boat, which would take them 7 hours
Basically a
through
day. Yeah.
through the harsh of the Atlantic Ocean. And what did we do? We didn't think about the commercial or the money we could make. We thought about the mission to actually fix a problem that was created and that was not directly the responsibility of the people of Cabo Verde. So that's basically what drives us the most, again.
So it's Bestfly is basically a company founded on very strong principles of having a positive impact on the society.
Of course, that's our first goal.
Is that something would you, if someone wants to become an entrepreneur as you are, or let's use the easier word, founder, because my French is very bad. What should someone bring to the table? What's the attributes you would expect from someone to being even close to your success?
Well, I don't consider myself successful, Stefan, but to achieve something, the first thing is the person needs to have an objective. And people cannot tell me that, oh, we need money. No, we can't. Don't tell me we need money, because I am the proof that we did not need unlimited funds to create something, because Bestfly was created with the savings of a couple called Nuno and Alcinda Pereira, of 10 years of work and life together. We started this company with $75,000, which was our fortune of savings for 10 years. So you have first to have an objective, and then you have to work hard for it. Ask my daughters how many times they slept in the airport while Alcina and I was doing handlings in the middle of the night, when we did not have 300 people to do the job for us. Ask my daughters the birthdays that I missed because I was flying, and then after flying, arriving in Luanda, I still had to go and work on Bestfly project. Ask my daughters what sacrifices they had to have to allow us to achieve what we achieved. So people sometimes likes to one of the things that you always like to use it, the
Anti-procrastinator.
that's the one. I actually get inspired with what you say, Stefan, because you don't need to have much money to achieve things. You need to have the will. You need to have the drive to do it. And to be a founder, to be an entrepreneur, you need to have that drive, because you can have I've seen a lot of people with a lot of money that draw down that money, and now they are non-existent as business, as I have seen few others that did not have any money when they started. And I have actually an example that I would like to share with you. There is a gentleman, about maybe he's a little younger than me. He invested in agriculture in Angola, alone with his wife, and he just believed that he could do it. Now he's one of the most successful privately farmers in Angola, and he's a young kid. He did not have any support from anyone. It was his drive to do it, and I'm so proud of talking about Correa, because he is the proof that I'm not a single case in Angola. That when we have the will, when we have the goal, and we have the stamina to do it, we can do it.
What do you think of Plan B?
There's no plan B. What plan B? Plan A, plan B, plan C is Bestfly. So there's no plan B.
So because some especially I think parents tend to, well, be safe and have a backup, and when I hear your story that you basically put your life saving on the line, and then a ton of sacrifices. Um, I think a lot of people who have a let's try if it works mentality would opt out, and basically, as I said, they put a lot of money on and it's just gone then.
Remember that conversation we had about marriage? We were talking on your wedding day about marriage and how strong is importance of a marriage, a true marriage, where you don't have a way out. The moment you put yourself with a way out, it's the moment you are key to fail, not to succeed. Because you will always have in the back of your mind, oh, if it doesn't work, I have a way out. And that's never in my mind. I don't take failure and ways out as options. We may readjust the path because you're not always right. And I've made a few mistakes myself that cost me a lot of money. But you admit to the mistake, find a way to correct the mistake, reassess the same way as you are in command of an aircraft. You do share, analyze, decide, implement, and evaluate. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And then continue.
Yeah.
Because if you have a way out, you're keen to fail.
So you are in favor in removing ejection seats from fighter jets, huh?
My fighter jet pilots will not like it, but yes, because you need to understand that even the fighter jet costed billions of dollars to the
Government
to the taxpayer, not to the government. I couldn't care less about the government, about the guys that our taxes, and they need to take care of that plane as if if it was their own, because it is, because they are paying for it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very common problem that we experience, is that people don't see it as their responsibility when they take over something. It belongs to some nameless individual or faceless government.
One thing, Stefan, now you reminded me of one day I gave an interview in Angola, where the journalist asked me what was my opinion about the Angolan airlines and this and that, and my reply was the biggest problem was that people used to serve them of the national company, not to serve the company. And I think more and more that becomes a problem across the board. And these new modern days, people are just towards rights. What I can take, what I'm entitled to. They forget to say, to be entitled to that, what do I need to do? What sacrifices do I need to make? What do I have to work hard for? And in a way, that's the good thing about the Americans. When they actually work hard, they succeed. The important thing is that you have to believe on what you're doing. If you don't believe on what you're doing,
And what you're saying,
exactly, and you have to say what you do and do what you say.
yeah, walk the talk.
And exactly.
Or no, walk the talk.
Walk the talk. That's true.
When you think about Angola 2030, how does it look like? How does not politically? I think that would be too ask too much. But it's aviation industry, and probably in general.
So there are few investments that the Angolan government made that will drastically change the face of aviation in Angola, namely the new airport. The new airport is opening very soon. Bestfly is already positioning itself to be a player at the new airport. And like it or not, when you start to have infrastructures of that quality and of that level, you have to change, because otherwise the investment was for nothing. And the idea is to create something that will, again, legacy, that will leave a legacy. 2030, my desire, and I can only say what I wish, is that our regulatory body is more consolidated in a way that is recognized and respected by other parties like the ICAO, like EASA, that is removed from the blacklist because it's affecting all the aviation businesses based out of Angola. That creates a more efficient regulatory system, and that it actually creates a stronger environment for business on our industry, because Angola is signatory of a few agreements within Africa that are going towards the open skies. And if that change does not happen within our companies in Angola, our companies will be basically unable to compete with companies that are well structured from more mature markets like South Africa. Because in 5 years is expected that some countries will have basically open skies policies like we have in Europe, where you will not need a landing permit. You'll just come in, take 7 Freedom Rides passengers, and you'll be able to collect passengers that today are monopoly, let me put it this way, of the Angolan national carrier, where other airlines will be able to come in and collect those passengers and take them to other destinations. And if you don't adjust, guess what happened? You either become heavily subsidized, continue to become dependent of subsidies, or you die. And if you are a private entrepreneur, a private company, you will die if you are not able to compete. Which this actually was a discussion that we had with some of the authorities in Angola recently, where we tried to explain that if they do not make some adjustments to the policies and to the laws and to the even taxes, it will be impossible for the Angolan companies to compete on an international level.
Well, but as the final goal is the whole continent, so
It's true, but we have to start somewhere.
yeah, and it's the home base.
And indeed, I wouldn't call it home base anymore. I would call it the start base. And it's still a very relevant place for us. And we will never forget where we came from, because that's another mistake that most entrepreneurs that are prone to fail have, is that normally they forget where they come from. And we will never do that. We may still be the when we achieve that dream, if we ever achieve it, and we for sure we will never forget that we are Nuno and Alcinda from Luanda, Angola. We'll never be Nuno and Alcinda from somewhere in the world, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes, I know what you're saying. If some young founder,
Entrepreneur.
thank you, thinks about the business idea and wants to become self-reliant, what would you, or where would you start? If you would start again, being 21, let's say, which business within the aviation sector would you enter in?
Ground handling.
Ground handling.
I would do it exactly the same, because, of course, to start anything other than ground handling, you need significant resources. And the ground handling allowed us to actually start with a very small capital, small capex, but then you have to fight one of the biggest challenges and how can I say, temptations. Then when you start to see money flowing in, that you immediately think that is profit and you want to take it out.
Yeah.
To give you an example, Stefan, people sometimes ask me, Nuno, how is it possible that you started that company and you grew the way you did? For 10 years. Listen to me, for 10 years. we did not take a single dime out of the profits. Everything we made, we reinvested. Everything we made, we reinvested. That's how we grow businesses.
That's how you pay off, yeah. That's the dividends that come back later. And if you could, sustain the temptation of having that, I think, which university was it? Harvard, who put some sweets in front of children and said you could have one now or two later and test it out which children could resist the temptation of taking one, and followed their path after 30 years or something like that. Those kids who could resist the temptation compared to the ones who took them, successful in their professional life.
Yeah.
So I agree that to resist the temptation immediately is one key attribute you have to have.
Yeah, otherwise you will just drain the company out. And it doesn't matter how much cash you have to start with. And I said earlier, we started this company with $75,000. $75,000 in our world.
And buckets of sweat equity.
Exactly. more sweat than actually than capital. We created the capital.
Great. Nuno, thank you for being with us. And on this note, so hard work, sweat, and resist temptations, we will come to an end of this podcast.
Forgot the dream.
Oh yeah, of course.
You have to have the dream.
You have to have a dream, yes. Without a dream, we are what we are then.
Indeed. Stefan, thank you very much. On behalf of the 450 people that work for us, that constitute the core of the success of my establishment, let me put it this way, I would like to thank you for believing in us as well, because you and your organization is part of the success that made possible Bestfly to be what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuno.